Hello, welcome back to United People's TV. It's Liam here. My guest this week is Chris. Talk about a few things from the weekend, and we've a lot to get through, so let's dive straight in. United game, result 1-1 against Stoke.
Disappointing to say the least. It's kind of stifled a bit of momentum that we started to create last week against Leicester.
Right.
It's flattened everybody again, hasn't it?
I think we deserve to win that game. No matter what way you look at it, Stoke's goalkeeper made a couple of outstanding saves. I think Ibrahimovic was off. I don't want to say off day, because any other day he would have scored those goals, only for the goalkeeper. But I think there's a few positives to be taken from it. Firstly, that Fellaini's out. Anyone who watches Social Club will know straight away my opinions on Fellaini. I think he was the biggest waste of money. I don't know why. I mean, Mourinho, for all that he is a great tactician. And I think having Fellaini in there is, well, in my opinion, obviously, let us know what you think too, but it's an abomination to Man United Football Club, in my opinion.
But he fits the Mourinho bill in so many ways, in some respects, in terms of adding size and stature to the side and strength through the park, especially on set pieces up front. He fits the bill in a lot of ways, and I think Mourinho wanted him to do a specific job for him, but he slows everything down so much, going back, edge of the box, the mistakes that he's made and picking people up and
I think even just simple 5-yard passes, he just seems almost 2 seconds off the pace on what he's been doing. To bring in Herrera at the weekend, I've been crying out for weeks, and I think he played out of his skin. I think
against Leicester, he brings so much to the midfield. He links everything together. He frees up other players. I mean, going backwards, he doesn't have as much as some players, but especially against teams like Stoke. Like, do we really need that level of holding midfielders?
I know,
the side? There needs to be. I mean, Fergie used to do it, didn't he? In elements, he would pack the midfield at times, but it was against the bigger teams.
Yeah.
And then he freed people up to go forward against the smaller teams, and he attacked. And there's been elements of that in what Mourinho's done this season, but
I think there's a lot to be said for the big, strong defensive midfielder in there, but I think bring it back to Fellaini in the centre midfield. I think the Mourinho wanted to almost free up Pogba a bit more so he could play a bit more. But I don't think it's needed against, like you're saying, against teams like Stoke, whatever. And I think it was good to leave him out and bring Herrera in. Now, what about Martial? What do you think about leaving him out and bringing Lingard in? I know he's just coming back from injury or whatever, but just on Jesse Lingard. I know he's been included in the England squad this week. We'll get on to that shortly. But what's your opinion on that? I
think there's 3 players there that need to be really nurtured, and they're. I mean, I know you don't agree with me on Lingard, but certainly Martial and Rashford are definitely our future, and they have to be nurtured there. And I think it's wrong to just throw them in there and say, this is it, you're playing every game and you are everything, putting all that pressure on their shoulders. I think they have to be nurtured, and to an extent I see why people are saying Martial needs to be in there all the time and he needs to be playing a specific role in the team. But I also get that he's still young, Rashford's still young, and they need to be taken in and out to give them rest time and to allow them to sort of evaluate everything that's going on. But I really rate Martial. I think I do too. I'm with you on that one. I know he's just coming back from injury and he wanted to rest him, and maybe against Stoke, supposedly one of the Leicester teams, it was the right decision, but I just don't rate Lingard. I don't think he's good enough to play for us. I think with the other guys you're talking about, Martial and with Rashford, they were thrown into the deep end and they come out all smelling roses. Whereas with the exception of the goal in the FA Cup final, I don't think Jesse Lingard's really performed. I think tactically he's a little bit off the pace. I'm not saying he's a bad footballer. I mean, again, let us know what you think, but for me personally it's a no. I wouldn't have Lingard in there if Martial's fit. Well, we've been spoiled with young players over the years at United, and I think with Lingard, he's a good young player, and I think because we've been so spoiled, people are too quick to write off some young players because they don't hit the ground running right at the start straight away. And Lingard, he's not a world beater just yet, but then you think of some mistakes that have been made with letting young players go because we've written them off too soon in the past. We've made a £90 million mistake
with Pogba
not so long ago.
But you can't compare Jesse Lingard. Well, I suppose you can't right now, but in hindsight.
But he's a young player. He's got good elements to his game. Even like if you look at Keane at Burnley at the moment, who's playing well, there's other mistakes that have been made because we've written young players off too soon recently. And Fergie used to be brilliant at bringing players through, giving them a chance, taking them out of the squad, having them out of the scene, out of the limelight, and then putting them back in just at the right time. I think that needs to be done a lot more. So I think man management's playing a part there with Martial and with Rashford.
I think, just to move on to the next point, actually, it kind of ties in with that. I think in comparison to the midweek game, in the what I would like to call the mediocre cup, because it's just basically celebrating mediocrity. I think he should play those kind of players like the Lingard and whatever in the games like that during midweek, and keep the big game players for the weekend.
I agree. I think he should have a Europa League squad and really go with that and develop players. Like Sneijderlin's not played a minute this season, hardly, has he?
I agree with you on that. I
has
mean,
he played a minute?
No, not 1 minute. He played in pre-season actually a little bit, but not in competitive play. And I said to you a couple of weeks ago, why is he not playing Schneiderlin? I'd have him in there in front of Fellaini. If he wants to play the holding midfielder in there, which Schneiderlin can go and kick people too, is it Fellaini's stature that he wants to play? But the thing about Schneiderlin, well, in my opinion, is that he can pass the ball on the deck. I don't think Fellaini can do that. If you want to play Fellaini, he's the big target man up front to knock the ball down so your striker can finish it. I can see he might have a point, but not as a holding midfielder. Definitely not.
You've already got a big target man up front
in Zlatan, yeah,
and Ibrahimovic. So I don't think we need another big target man up front. Pogba's big, Smalling's playing, certainly going up from the back for set pieces, and then you've got the likes of Bailey at the back too.
Yeah.
So there's enough size.
Did you see him fall over when he missed? Oh, it was so funny. If any of you haven't seen it, Google Bailey's miss at the weekend. He falls over like he's been shot by a sniper from the crowd. He falls directly backwards, but doesn't hold himself up. It's hilarious. You need to have a look at it. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on that, about the result. Even though we all know what the result was, disappointing result, but there's a few positives to be taken from it. So let us know what you think about that. So moving on to the question that's plagued Man United fans for the last 3 or 4 weeks: Rooney, does he deserve a place in the starting lineup?
No.
Why?
Same reason as I told you before we kicked the ball this season. He slows play up. Same as I said about Fellaini. The first match that Rooney was dropped for, immediately, straight away, there was an impact there in terms of the speed of the play, especially with Ibrahimovic up front. I think he's not got pace. So if you play Rooney behind Zlatan,
the way Mata's been playing though.
Yeah, but what
it's
I'm saying
is
if you can't play Rooney and then not have someone with pace getting in behind the back, if you've got Ibrahimovic up front, you're not going to drop Zlatan for Rooney at the minute.
Yeah.
Not that either of them have been world beaters this season, but certainly you're going to put Ibrahimovic in there ahead of Wayne Rooney. And I think you need pace in the team alongside Ibrahimovic. He's not going to run in behind the defence, so someone has to.
Now, I know that at the start of the season, Mourinho came out and said that Rooney's my captain. He's, he looks upon him favourably or whatever, and he's been okay to drop him. In fairness to Rooney, he hasn't really spat his dummy out. He's kind of got on with it. But do you see him coming back into the team then, the way he has done in the past and played that number 10 role, I suppose, behind where Zlatan is at the minute, the way Mata's been doing? Is that something you'd like to, as a Man United fan, is that something you'd like to see? And again, let us know.
If he got back to how he used to be, but Rooney, he seems to be like the car that used to be amazing, but it's had its day. It's never going to go at the speed that it was. So he's not got that level of... he's not... I mean, someone said once, I was watching a bit of punditry, and someone said that he's had his time at the top. He's done. He's had his 10 years, and he started so young that he's kind of run his ground, and he's just not been the Rooney that we knew back whenever him and Ronaldo were playing and winning European Cups.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I'm also of the opinion that Van Gaal played him out of position, Hodgson played him out of position. He hasn't really played his number 10 role for the last 2 or 3 years, which is what he is. I don't think he's an out-and-out number 9. He's a striker, well, a centre forward, should we say, and he hasn't played in position for the last 2 or 3 years. So maybe an amalgamation of all of that together. Everyone's now saying, is it his age, is it his ability, is it his form, is it positional play? I personally think he's been played out of position so long that everyone's like, nah, he's done, he's gone, he's past it. Maybe there's an argument there.
But he had a few games in that position at the start of this season, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it at all. Mata's a much better player in there. Mata has that pace about his play where he links it together. Little passes here and there, like the goal he scored against Leicester. Mata gets involved in that sort of play, whereas Rooney's getting the ball and he doesn't know where to turn with it. He's taking the ball off the midfielders and holding it up and then losing it.
Could that be put down to poor tactics as opposed to ability?
Well, if I see a place for Rooney in our team at the minute, the way we're playing, I know you're going to crucify me for this, but it's in the midfield, spraying passes. And I'm not saying he should play there, but I'm saying if I was to pick a place for Rooney in our team, I see him doing that better than he is playing up front at the moment.
Why? Because he's lost pace?
Because he's lost pace, and because he can link things together by picking out those passes and spraying them out wide and allowing balls to be put in that Zlatan can feed off. But as a striker or as a playing in the hole, I don't see Wayne Rooney as doing that job for us.
Well, I don't know. Do you think we're better off without him?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think the play's faster. I mean, I certainly don't see Fellaini and Rooney in the same team.
No.
But definitely, I think if you ask me for the last 2 or 3 games since he's been dropped, have we been better? I think yes, we have. And I think actually Rooney's been better at having a specific impact role to play coming off the bench.
That's what I was just moving on to my next point there. You just said it for me. As the impact role you're talking about coming off the bench, what about if you have him in the background, like almost like a coaching role, almost like Giggs did in his last season? Do you think that'll be worth it? I mean, ultimately he's the club captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
People have to. I mean, maybe the youngsters don't look up to him. I don't know, but I would suggest that they would be with him being the club captain. Is that something they think he could be part of the club that way and move up?
I don't really know. I think it's still too early in his career to be talking about Wayne Rooney as a coach. I think he still has a job to do for someone.
Necessarily. Maybe you haven't misunderstood what I meant. I don't necessarily mean coach. I mean,
like Michael Carrick.
Almost like Carrick, yeah, senior player with a bit of experience that someone could go to and that's never going to play 90 minutes every week. They're going to have a bit part. The way, like I say, like Carrick, like you said, like Giggs did in his last season, or is it a case of cash in while you can and get rid of him?
Could you really cash in? No. Like, I think the only cashing in you're going to get is getting that wage bill off the cards.
Yeah, 250 grand a week.
I think you've got to have someone around there that still has the experience of winning the league.
I agree.
I think if you don't have someone that has that experience in the dressing room, then there's no one to impart that wisdom to the younger players in the squad.
Wisdom.
And I know it might sound stupid, but it really is for at the difficult times of the season, whenever you need points, like Liverpool and Arsenal did at the weekend, to take a team apart at the very end of a game and to have players that know how to do that and have the experience to drive that idea forward with young players. I think you need that, and Rooney has that. So yeah, he's valuable to have around the dressing room and valuable to have around the training ground. Look, just as Michael Carrick was.
Yeah,
is.
I agree. I do agree with you on that extent. Ultimately, he's just been named England captain again. How long do you think he's got left? I mean, let's say top level.
Now, do you know?
31.
Is he?
You're younger than me, but you look younger.
You're not a year younger than you.
He really is a year younger than me.
A couple of years left on him, but I think he needs to. If you ask me who Rooney should be playing for, it's definitely not a top 4 club.
He's not going to go anywhere else other than Everton. That's where he's going to go. I've spoke to Baz, if he's watched Social Club, I spoke to Baz about this a couple of times. Baz is convinced at the end of the season Rooney's going back to Everton. I don't know. If he's still England captain, I mean, again, let us know what you think. If he's still England captain.
He shouldn't be England captain. As far as England go, I'm not sure. I definitely don't think he should be the England captain. As far as the United captaincy goes, should he be United captain? I think he's got the clout amongst the players and he's got the clout around the club to be the captain, but he can't be if he's not going to be playing regularly.
Well, I don't know. Either way, let us know what you think.
Is Chris Smalling a captain though? He's been taking the captaincy off, Rooney, when he hasn't been there. For
me personally, Smalling's been pretty good the past 2 seasons. I think he came on a long way under Van Gaal. Whenever we first signed him, he was very rough around the edges. He kind of didn't know where he should be. And I never thought I'd say it, but I think Daley Blind took him under his wing and told him where he should go and how he should stand.
But that's what Smalling needs beside him. He needs someone that's going to tell him where to play.
But that's not captaincy. Your captaincy is usually by example.
I don't think he should be captain.
I don't think Smalling's captain for me. I think Michael Carrick is, but again, it's another question of how long has he got left.
He's not going to play enough. That's where I think United are lacking at the moment, is having a regular leader on the pitch. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why Mourinho wanted Rooney on there to begin with, because he needed a leader that was going to drive them forward. Zlatan is a leader, but he's just joined. I've
been reading recently, actually, from a few different sources, that a lot of the younger players now they're going to Zlatan for a bit of...
Because again, he's been around the big boys and he's been at the big clubs and he knows what he's talking about.
Record speaks for itself, doesn't it?
The more of those players you have around, the better. I mean, can you justify paying 600,000, 700,000 £700,000 a week to people in wages to have those players around? Like, you've got Rooney, his wage.
Can justify paying 90 million for Pogba?
That's a lot of money.
If they can afford it, and it's obviously going to be beneficial to the team, but why not? That's the way you got to look at it.
But I think, the contracts Rooney and Zlatan are on, if they're paying for themselves in shirt sales, fair enough. But Rooney, I think we need to look at the Rooney situation massively.
Well, let us know what you think. It's a question that's been knocking around now for weeks, probably even months, even before the Euros. Let us know what you think. So, moving on to the internationals coming up, and you'll notice today that, well, I suppose it was early this morning or late last night, that Southgate, madness that one, Southgate has announced his new England squad. for the upcoming games against Malta and is it Slovenia or Slovakia? Slovenia? I think it's Slovenia. Either way, Rashford included, Lingard included, and obviously Rooney's included, and Chris Smalling. Let's just go back to Rashford. And I know that previously under Allardyce, which I have to mention is a Muppet by the way, previously under Allardyce, Rashford was included in under 21s. Personally, I think that Southgate would have brought him back to under 21s only for the fact that Kane's injured. I know that his form has been spectacular, and I am his biggest fan, if I'm honest. I think the kid's got a big future, regardless of whether it's with us or, I mean, realistically, it's Barcelona or Real Madrid. That's the only where it's going to go. But I think he's got a big future with us, and I hope he stays. I personally would put him in under 21s. Is it just because Kane's injured, he's with the senior team, and is he going to play?
No, I think he's earned that on merit. I think any time it's been asked of Rashford, he's gone in and he's done the business. He drives at people, he's fearless, he goes and does whatever he wants to do. He still makes the odd mistake, and I still think that if he's ever going to be a centre forward for United, his hold-up play maybe needs a little bit of work.
I agree, wholeheartedly. I was having a conversation with, I think it was one of the lads in work the other day, and he was talking about Rashford. He's like, he's not a centre forward, he's a winger. He's like, but he's an out-and-out goal scorer. And he's right in what he's saying, you're right what you're saying. He's got no real hold-up play at the minute. Do you think maybe with England, if you play him up top as opposed to on the wing the way it's been with United, well, winger, the way it's been with United at the minute, it can, I suppose it's another string to his bow whenever he's playing a centre forward, and he can throw his hat in the ring, I suppose, to play up top for United. Maybe because, I mean, realistically, Zlatan's only got a couple of years left.
But see, this is my issue with international football at the moment. It's like, you can't say that you're going to play him up top for England to get experience to come and play United. I think the weight or the value of international football is kind of being lost. And when you're talking about the New England manager, if England are ever going to do anything, then really you should be talking about the biggest managers in the game wanting that job. But no one does. Because
it's a poison chalice.
No one
I wholeheartedly agree.
But not just because it's a poison chalice, it is with the media and the pressure that goes on. But actually, no one cares enough about international football anymore. Like, why would you want to leave the club scene where you're getting prestige, money, everything that you could want is in the game there, to go to manage an international side? And it's not the same as it used to be.
But for these young kids coming up, surely it has to be some kind of almost bragging rights to be called into the senior team. I mean, Rashford's what, 18, 19? Jesse Lingard, how old's Jesse Lingard? 20, 21?
Yeah, but I think I mean, it used to be the pinnacle of your career to get an England or an Ireland call-up, but now I've been called up, but will I throw an injury just to get out of the squad?
I know, but let's not make no bones about it. They're playing Malta. You know, I mean, no disrespect to any Maltese out there, but I mean, in comparison with England, regardless, I suppose they said the same about Iceland at the Euros, but you know, it's not really a big game, is it? So is that the best time to be putting these guys in for experience?
I think, yeah, it's a good time to be trying players out for England to see how they're going to perform at that level. If it was me and I was in charge of a national team, matches like that are definitely times whenever I would draft in players who I wasn't sure about and I wanted to find out if they had the know-how and the clout to be able to handle it up there. So yeah, I think it's a good time to try the likes of Lingard. I think he's he's definitely a good young player. He's definitely a good young English player to have around at United. And I'm glad we have him. I definitely think he deserves his chance.
You know my opinions on Lingard. I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think at the minute he's good enough to start for us. To go to England, I'd say I'd be going to get experience, but again, I go back to the point, they're playing Malta and Slovenia. Again, no disrespect to the opposing teams, but it's not going to be a real challenge, is it? It might be good for the young kid, you know, in terms of, like I say, bragging rights, but I don't know.
It's good for United. It's good for United that he's getting the experience. Don't know about good for England though. Yeah,
that's it. It's all about the experience, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, it puts your name out there too. It might build a bit of confidence too. So again, let us know what you think about Rashford and Lingard. I know Rooney and Smalling are already included, but what
about Rooney? Sorry, before you finish, is Rooney going to play in midfield for England or is he going to play up top?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. As I said before in the other show beforehand, we were talking about Southgate, and I said if Southgate was a colour, in my opinion, he'd be beige. He's just middle of the road, nothing exciting about him whatsoever. I don't know. I don't think he would have the guts to drop him, in all honesty. I think Rooney walked into the change room, will go, I want to play here, and Southgate will go, okay, no worries, where do you sign? I think that's going to be the case. I think against Malta, it doesn't really matter. He's going to play no matter what. Whether he's going to be a captain, whether he's going to be Southgate's captain or the next permanent manager's captain after that is yet to be seen. I know you don't think he should be.
Is he going to play midfield?
Oh, I don't know. I hope not.
I think he'll play midfield. Looking at the midfielders in that squad, I think he'll play midfield.
I don't know. Personally, I don't know.
And it'll be interesting to see how he does, because genuinely I think if he has a future at United, that's where it is, because going forward he's not pacey enough for me.
So at United you'd have him with Pogba and Rooney.
I don't think he should play in the midfield, but what I'm saying is if he has a future, that's the only place I could see that being, because his range of passing is fantastic, and that's the classiest part of his game that I can see at the moment. As a striker, don't think he has the pace, and I don't think he has the ability to link play well enough. I think our play is so sluggish at times, especially when Rooney or Fellaini's in the team.
I agree. I do agree. But I don't think that should be a reason. It's not all Rooney's fault. I don't think he should be vilified like that. I mean, ultimately, he's been one of our best players, one of the world's best players for the last decade or so.
He's done, though. He's done, I think. As a striker, he's definitely done.
I don't know. Let us know what you think. So now moving on to our upcoming games. Have you seen the next month we've got?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys will know already. So we've got City in the EFL Cup, Chelsea and Liverpool. Our next game is Liverpool away. Monday night 8 o'clock kickoff at a random time to have Liverpool away. And then Fenerbahce in what I like to call a mediocre cup, like I told you before. So that's 4 massive games. Do we have the squad for it, and how do you think we'll perform?
Big games. Did you say Everton's coming up there as well? Everton's not too far away. I don't know if they're this month, but there's a hard run of games coming up for us, and I mean, I threw the head up after the Stoke game and I said to a few, enjoy the title race, lads. I thought...
I don't know, you can't really say that after one game.
I know it's too early to say that, but I threw the head up and I said that. But that's kind of, after that run, that's what you could be saying, if it doesn't go well enough.
I mean, ultimately, City is in the EFL Cup, or whatever people are calling it these days. Liverpool and Chelsea in the Premier League, those are the big games for me.
They are, yeah.
Fenerbahce at home in the Europa League. I mean, I think we've got the squad to do that. Even our B side should beat, no disrespect to Fenerbahce, but even our B side should beat those boys. Liverpool, Anfield, 8 o'clock Monday night. That is the big game to me. Bring your A game time. Those boys look like they want to attack and they want to win games. Defensively, they look semi-beatable, especially at the weekend against Swansea. If you saw that game, Swansea had a couple of real good chances. I know they fell apart and Liverpool played well to go on, and I suppose they deserved to win, but against those lads, 8 o'clock on a Monday night at Anfield, that's going to be a big game. But
that's, our defence has been shaky this season. It's let goals in. I mean, against City there were mistakes there. At other times there's been players haven't been picking up, doing silly things. But against Liverpool, that's crucial, because Liverpool concede goals, especially from set pieces, and we're a big side. So I think
that game as well, form goes out the window. It's who's up for it more.
I think, well, it does in a sense, but from set pieces, we should be definitely looking to target that against Liverpool with the size of our squad and the way they've been conceding those this season. But it's about our defence there. I think we will score against Liverpool, but it's about trying to hold them out. It's about trying to stop them, and they've been good going forward. I mean, they've been scoring for fun. I
don't think our defence has been really that bad.
Liverpool are certain to get 3 penalties, so...
I heard a stat there earlier on. James Milner scored just the same amount of goals in the Premier League as Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Well, if Ibrahimovic was hitting penalties and got 3 a game, you know what I mean? But I'm inclined to agree with you. I think it's all about who can defend better in that game as opposed to who can score more goals, because both sides going forward look special at the minute, but
I don't know if we look special going forward.
I think we do, mate.
At times, for that 20 minutes against Leicester, we were unbelievable. But other than that, I wouldn't describe it as special.
Special for this early in the season. I mean, I have the utmost confidence that we can go and beat them at Anfield.
We need more out of Pogba. I just want so much more out of him. I mean, against Southampton, he was great. Against Leicester, he had some fantastic elements to his game. Really, I mean, in any game this season, there's moments where you think, wow, he's class.
But it has to be consistent.
And then there's other times where you think, what's he doing? And I don't know if does he have a role in the team, do you think? Like, what's his role? What's Mourinho saying?
I don't know. I don't think Mourinho has really penciled him in, or pigeonholed him, should I say. Is he defensive? Is he attacking? Is he box to box? I mean, I don't even think Pogba knows. I think it's a case of, you're brilliant, go on the pitch and do something special. I think at £90 million a big price tag, of course it is. But
does he have a free role? Is it go out?
I suppose it is a free centre midfield role. Maybe that's why he's been playing Fellaini. I mean, maybe not last week with Herrera coming in, but I think that's why he's been playing Fellaini in there, so as to give Pogba a little bit more freedom. But I mean, what's he going to, unless he scores 3 goals a game for his first 5 games, is he going to justify his 90 million price tag? No matter what way you look at it, he's a fantastic player.
He was always going to get grief because of the price tag, but I mean, I'm sure he's paid a lot of that back in the amount of shirts that have been sold with Pogba on the back.
That's not. No, I'm not. I don't mean in terms of in money coming in and going out of the club. I mean in terms of the accolade or put on a pedestal, as it were, because he's the most expensive player in the world. I think he's good enough to get there, but it's not going to happen in 5 or 6 games. And I think people need to realise that. And
I think he just needs. We need to see. He needs to know what he is, what his role is in the team. Is it box to box? I mean, I personally think box to box isn't the position, it's a talent. I think if you think about box to box midfielders, you think Lampard, you think Scholes, you think Keane, you think, I suppose, Gerrard. I think that's a special player, and I hope he has that in him. I mean, he did for Juventus. I hope he has that in him in the Prem.
But you can't judge it in 6 games.
No, of course
Again,
you
let
can't.
us know what you think.
Of course you can't. I want him to be that player, but I just think what I'm saying is, I just don't know if Mourinho's worked out the best way to play him yet. And it's definitely not.
For me personally, it's a free roll in the middle.
It's definitely not beside Fellaini.
Not Fellaini. Anyway. No. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there who disagree with me, but I haven't come across one Man United fan yet who has been supportive of Fellaini. Not just this year, but last year as well. I think it's, for me, I don't understand why he doesn't give Schneiderlin a go with Pogba. I think you're talking about Pogba's reign and free role, as it were. Why? I don't understand why he couldn't play Schneiderlin there and make it free him up.
I think he's going through the motions to try and find the Keane beside Scholes.
That's a good way to look at it.
The Keane that freed Paul Scholes up to go and do what he did. And I think that's what he's trying to find for Pogba, because Pogba is trying to play that position, but the right person beside him I don't think has come out of the woodwork yet. And I think it's not Fellaini, as we said, but there's definitely a few other players that he can try there. I mean, Herrera's done well at linking the play up and speeding the play up, but in terms of, do you see him against City playing that position?
Don't know. So that was that lead me on with the next point and final point, actually. Predictions: City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Fenerbahce. 4 wins.
I'd love to see 4 wins. That's the idea. That's the dream, isn't it? But do you think we'll have 4 wins? No, I don't. I mean, City in the Mickey Mouse Cup or the EFL Cup, I suppose you don't know what's going to happen now. You don't know what sides.
Don't know what kind of sides either player or either manager's going to put out.
But I mean, I'd like to definitely see us going undefeated in those 4 games.
Yes, I'd be the same. I mean, 4 draws is a bit excessive. I'd like to say we'd beat Chelsea. Chelsea haven't really done anything for me this year. They beat Hull 2-0 at the weekend. That wasn't really that convincing.
I'm not convinced by Chelsea.
I'm not convinced by Conte. I said before a ball was kicked, I know he's accomplished a lot in Italy, but coming to Premier League's a different story, because Italy can walk over teams. It's not like that here. You're going to come up against teams who are like the likes of Hull at the weekend, who are going to give you a game, and they should be I'm sure he was going into that game expecting 3 points, and I don't think he's really got to terms with it yet. So I'd like to think Mourinho, seasoned veteran, I'd say, go and he'll out tactic Chelsea.
I'd like to. I mean, he's up for it. Obviously, he wants to go back there and prove a point. I'm not convinced about Chelsea. I think Costa's playing a blinder. He's certainly taken his goals very well this season. There's two great goals for Costa and who scored the other one, Willian, at the weekend. But I think Costa apart, I just don't see Chelsea as being world beaters this season.
I agree. Actually, I don't. So I like to beat Chelsea. Liverpool, I would take a draw. But before, obviously, no matter what happens, if the ball was the going of a beach ball, I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy to beat them.
No taking draws against Liverpool.
Before a game kicked off, if I was to say to you 1-1, would you take it?
No, let's go for it. Let's just go out.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see all guns blazing. Let's go and destroy them.
Against City, I was devastated to lose a match. Broke my heart. But if you compare that to watching and Louis van Gaal's side doing the same thing, where he's to win a game, he's going to take a left back off and replace him with a left back. It's like, that's not game changing attacking play that you want to see. Mourinho went out for it in that second half, and we went out, we died trying, didn't we? And that's what you want to see. And as you think about the likes of David Moyes and what he was doing, standing watching a 0-0 draw against Chelsea.
Remember that game? We went that game. That was depressing. Even when Mourinho played without a striker for 70 minutes.
Even when you came away with a point, you felt depressed because of the way the team was playing. Whereas you came away from that City game and you thought, right, we didn't win, but there's definitely elements to how we were playing that makes us happy as United fans.
Yeah.
So let's go out and do it against Liverpool. Let's go for it, and let's try from minute 1, not minute 46 like we did last against City. Let's go out and try and win that game right from the very start.
I'm with you on that.
And let's go for it.
So winning against Chelsea, winning against Liverpool, Fenerbahce.
Is Robin Van Persie playing for Fenerbahce? Yep. Is he coming back? Yeah, we're going to beat them.
I think Van Persie got a bad rap, actually. I think he fell out with Van Gaal and was shipped out when he shouldn't have been. Because ultimately last year...
Did he fall out with Van? Is that not his mate?
Well, they were mates until he came back from the World Cup. But ultimately last year we were crying out for a striker. To sell Van Persie...
Yeah, but you weren't calling Robin Van Persie to come back. If you could just take one of them back, who are you taking back?
I have Hernandez all day.
Chicorito all day.
Yeah. But I mean, we should beat Fenerbahce, regardless of what kind of squad you put out against those lads. Plus, they're kind of starting 11.
Hopefully,
we should beat them.
Hopefully, but then we should have won in Holland and we didn't.
Well, this is it, yeah. It's a dodgy goal, lad. So yeah, let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is a new weekly segment, hopefully. So if you're not bored of listening to me, you can come back again next week. Let us know your thoughts on all 4 of those topics. So it was a Stoke game, no Rooney, which is obviously a massive one. The internationals coming up with Rashford and Lingard playing, and then the upcoming games. I'd like to say 4 wins, but again, let us know what you think. Subscribe. Hopefully the banner should be coming across the bottom of your screen now, and let us know. See you next week.